This isn't about replacing attorney judgment, it's about amplifying it. Today, we're talking about Evalify, one of the many companies we're building inside our AI venture studio across multiple industries. So, Evalify is designed to make prior art evaluation dramatically more efficient and measurably more effective. This isn't about replacing attorney judgment, it's about amplifying it. So, let's dive in. I'm joined today by our CEO, Mark McNally, to walk through why we built it, how it works, and what it changes for firms to adopt. So, Mark, give us some context. What exact challenge are we addressing today with our Valify product?
Well, I'll answer that question first, but then give you some background. I think, first of all, we're just making it really simple to go out there and analyze the IP landscape of any kind of product or company you're building, which right now would require weeks of manual labor from an attorney. And interestingly enough, attorneys have become, and IP professionals have become our largest growth category of customers. So they're seeing the benefit too, because it's grueling work. It's not all that exciting kind of work. It's easy to miss things, and we make it simple with the click of a button. So background, I'd say what's wrong with the IP space in general is that it's really an afterthought. And I'm speaking to myself. I've done almost 30 years of doing startups, over a dozen startups, venture-backed companies, and nobody ever once, when they're investing in my company, has asked me what the IP landscape is of my company. And an experienced entrepreneur might go, "Oh, that's not true. They always ask that." No, they don't ask that. They ask, "What is your patents?" Or "What is your patent strategy?" They ask things like that. But they don't say, like, "Give me a landscape of who else owns patents in your space. What could possibly blow up in your face? What are things that you're trying to steer away from as a product? What are things that you're specifically going after because you can lock up long term?" And I think it's just really interesting because in my career, IP was something always, but it was, maybe if you're doing cell phones or inventing car engines or something, but it's really become the largest category of litigation in the last 20 years is IP. And if you go talk to insurance companies, they'll tell you the largest category that they're paying out claims on that they were not paying out on 20 years ago is IP. And it's skyrocketed the last 5 years. So everywhere you look, IP is becoming a battleground. It's becoming super important. I have personal experience. I got involved with a startup I was very excited about, joined as a senior level, closed a big round right after I joined. And within a few weeks of me joining, I found out that there was a $14 million lawsuit from a very large Fortune 500 company that had no chance of losing. And so a large percentage of the capital that was raised went out the door in that first month to settle that lawsuit. Like, imagine you're that investor. It would have been nice to know beforehand, right? But probably even the company itself could have steered away from getting into that IP debacle had they been able to quickly and easily and cheaply assess the IP risk of doing so. So that's what we're trying to make simple, and yeah, can't wait to talk more about it.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, that would have been nice to know beforehand, right? Like as you said. Yeah, and just to use your last few words, quickly and easily, that is definitely one of the challenges we're addressing. As Mark, I've spoken to quite a few patent attorneys in the last few months, and if I'll just share a few of the challenges I see. I'd love you to add on to it because I know you've talked to some global law firms, and there's some shifting dynamics happening right now. I'll let you talk to that. But two challenges I've seen are one, what I'll call the search tax or the search burden, right? There's actually 200 million patents out there, Mark. And it's, when you're looking for prior art, if you're a new company starting off and you want to figure out, what's your freedom to operate or what patents are out there, you have to search through 200 million patents. And even the most experienced searchers, and I've talked to quite a few, those searches can take from 5 hours to 20 or 30 hours. So that's one challenge. And Mark, maybe you can add some more color because I know you've talked to some very large law firms.
Yeah, I mean, just to expand on what you said first, I think early on we were afraid we were gonna ruffle the feathers of the IP industry, right? And that quickly went away as we started talking to IP professionals, and they started to advise us on the product and coach us. It was like they were able to very clearly articulate that they know they're good at what they do, but it just takes time and it's an expensive proposition for customers. So if you're going to tell your customer, yeah, I can do that, but it's going to take 3 weeks and be $10,000 or $20,000, that's a fine answer, and that's been the answer forever. But what that does is it forces choices. So if you're a startup or a company building in multiple business units or spinning off a new product, you're only going to push that button and do that final search when you're really, 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 really sure. And quite frankly, we're not even yet into that flow of making that a required next step, right? So you could easily kind of bypass that and start building a product without anybody asking, what's the IP landscape? When the opposite should probably be true. If you're playing with like 40 ideas and you're trying to figure out which one's the green light and you got it down to 7 or 8 and you're super excited, again, whether you're a startup or you're a billion-dollar multinational firm doing a product, IP could steer that decision. So you need to be able to quickly and easily and relatively inexpensively, or at least cost effectively, come up with answers. And so, an attorney, the reason why that, attorneys are embracing this and IP professionals is they're like, I have no quick, easy, cost effective way to offer my customers what they should have, which is broad analysis before they make these kinds of decisions, right? And that's why they're becoming one of our biggest channels. That's why IP professionals are becoming our biggest customers, is because we really empower the work they want to do. Now, you're alluding to some of the big firms. I've had a chance to talk to some very large firms, and they'll tell you crazy things like 30% of their multi-billion-dollar global practice is IP litigation, or they call it IP. But the most lucrative and what they really want to be doing is the litigation work, right? But how do you do the litigation work? How do you get the litigation work? They know they get the litigation work by doing that first part, which is the search stuff. Saying, hey, we analyze this patent, it's a good patent, or you can go ahead and move forward. Maybe filing the patent work. For a big firm, that work is relatively low volume, low dollars. It's not the exciting stuff, right? Doing a whole bunch of patent searches and even filing a patent and billing $10,000, $50,000, whatever. To a big firm, that's not the game, right? To a big firm, getting the $2 or $3 million litigation work, that's the game. However, one leads the other. So you fundamentally have to be better and more aggressive at doing that search work, the patent work, in order to put yourself into the litigation flow. And I think that's one of the things we've been hearing resoundingly, which is why some of the big firms are talking about doing something uniquely strategic or something else with us, right? And it's exciting. It's exciting to see the landscape change. I'll make one other comment, which is I think our narrow focus on this IP space has allowed us to build a very unique product. It's allowed us to be very hyper-focused on the unique challenges of that workflow. And I say that because there are some very exciting, impressive legal tech firms out there that have raised gazillions of freaking dollars to go out there and build the monolithic, legal tech platforms. And God bless them. I'm sure there'll be a few of those that emerge over time that do a lot of really cool things out of the box. But I do think right now being niche focused and being excellent at it and being deep at it is what's really standing out to us in the conversations we're having, because they can trust that on that particular workflow, we're going to nail it.